everyone, and good evening. Actually, mostly Corona Cuppas have been on a morning, but this one is on an afternoon because it has been day one of homeschooling in the Rose household, and it's been pretty chill actually, because we said to the kids they could sort of semi-have another day off, and we just look into the online school and see what they had to do and plan it. And as it is, I've done adding together improper fractions, I think it was, and I have started to do a storyboard about King Arthur and how he became King Arthur. So it's all been very interesting. And I've made tomato and lentil soup, and I'm thinking I might make olive scones to go with said soup. So I'm feeling pretty chill. I don't know about you. I think at the moment there's been so much like unbelievable news last week, and it's hard getting your head around it. And because we've put ourselves into a self-enforced self-isolation, really, we've just decided we're going to stay in the house for as long as it takes. There's nowhere to go. There's no one to see. There's no, usually my like average school run every day is 50 miles. It's just like I feel quite chill today. So I'm feeling good. The bit that I know a lot of you will have come on to watch, and thank you those of you who have come on to watch. I can see quite a few of you watching. Please give me a thumbs up, because when I am on my laptop, it just tells me who's live. It doesn't actually tell me who is live with me. So give me a little comment or hello if you want to. I didn't want to come on this morning and give you the update from Richard Holden, the chat that I had with our MP last night, because I was just trying to let the dust settle in my own brain. And also I wasn't sure what might come out in the news today. As it turns out, I've just heard there's not going to be a normal 5 o'clock press conference. It's going to be later this evening at about 8 o'clock. And I heard on the radio, I don't know how true this is, but that Boris might be coming on post the Cobra meeting, which is happening now, to do a sort of a much more serious televised, I can't even get my words out, sorry guys, a much more serious televised broadcast to the nation. So I'm wondering if he's going to come on and tell us that we're going to be on, a fuller lockdown, but we'll just see. Call last night with Richard was really good. We were on the phone for about an hour. There was myself, there was Nicola Jane Little, who was the MD at Mint Business Club. There was Stephen Paul, who is the big boss at Valued. And there was Simon Hanson from the FSB, Federation of Small Businesses, who listened in, didn't participate, but listened in. And Gary Scott, who looks after DBN, the Do Business Network, previously the Derwentsside Business Network. So between us, we look after, we support hundreds of Derwentsside, that West Durham, Northwest Durham area, the hundreds of Derwentsside businesses, and also, Nicola and Stephen and me to a certain extent, clients across the rest of the Northeast and the rest of the country as well. But we really wanted to speak to Richard for our core clients. I felt listened to. That's first off what I wanted to say. I felt really reassured that I'm reading some notes off my phone as well, if you can see me looking down. I felt really reassured that he was simply willing to listen and effectively muck in. He felt like one of the team, like we were sat around a table going, right, how the hell are we going to sort this out? He didn't just feel like he was, someone up above us who was just, not really bothered. He really, really was listening to us. I got a very, very strong sense of him saying, now he didn't say this, but from what he did say, this is my takeaway, a strong sense of him implying that this is going to get very much worse before it gets anywhere near better. I really got a strong sense of that. And he did say it numerous times, so please stay at home. Now, I mentored someone today who is currently in bed, who is working from home, who has been in hospital, not ventilated, thank God for that, but really quite poorly, low oxygen, on a nebulizer. underlying health conditions, not tested, sent home to recover. So what does that tell you? This person lives sort of Newcastle way. So does he get added onto the official stats of coronavirus? Well, no. It's going to get worse. So please stay at home if you can, was the strong message he was telling me, or telling all of us. I know so many of you want to know about the support for self-employed people, sole traders who work from home. Myself and Nicola we were overwhelmed by your response. The letter that's gone into Richard, I will get it saved as a PDF and I will make it downloadable over on my website and give it to Nick if she wants to do the same. So you can, see your comments there. We had over 70 comments, I think, went into the letter. They were still coming as we were on the call with Richard, and I got some this morning as well. So those ones that came in after, I will edit the letter, put those in and resubmit the letter effectively to Richard. What we said in the letter to Richard, and you'll be able to read, is here is a selection of queries and worries and concerns from self-employed people all across Durham. And they centre around pretty much the same thing. How are we going to survive? We don't have offices and universal credit, £93 a week. How are we going to survive? So I'm hoping that over the coming days, generally we'll be able to give you more answers to that. But there was a number of questions in the letter that were quite specific. Maybe the business owner had health concerns, etc., where we've said those people with more in-depth queries, could they have a personal response? So, fingers crossed, I'm sure it'll all commit to that. He said, when things calm down somewhat, when we're on a bit more of a level pegging, when we know where we are, he would jump onto a live with me or Nicola or Stephen and Darren at Valued, have a group where they're supporting their clients and the wider business community. He would come into there and he would do a live video and answer questions, which was amazing and again very reassuring. So generally, he said that the sole trader and self-employed support had not been forgotten about. In fact, it was something that he was getting question after question after question about, and so were his colleagues in other constituencies. There was a lot of people asking the same question, and so they were putting it to the government and saying, what are you doing about our self-employed constituents? But he said simply, the support which could be enacted quicker had to be enacted quicker. And the support that had the biggest impact also had to be enacted quicker. And when you put that together, there's more employees in the country than self-employed people. And because employees are on the pay-as-you-earn scheme, and therefore they have bank details and everything else, together they would have more impact and they could do it quicker. So employees went first. He said for the self-employed community to take heart that the government supported wages of up to 80%. Well, not up to, at 80%. He had lobbied for that because he'd said, obviously here in Durham, we have a lot of manufacturing companies. And he said, they're saying work at home if you can. How do you work at home when you work for a manufacturing firm? You can't just take your machine home. Nissan's not his area, but he'd been out to Nissan. Nissan shuts down. The lads and lasses on the production line can't just take a wheel or a car or a piece of a car or a steering wheel. They can't work from home. So they'd lobbied for more money and they didn't think they'd get it. And then the government announced the 80% and they were really surprised, but really, really happy. But he said to take heart from that, because that could give a good indication of what may come down the line for self-employed people. If you've got any questions, by the way, ask them. I will try my best to answer them. He understood that universal credit is not an easy system, and it's not an easy system at all to navigate. So I suggested that should that still be the way that employment support for self-employed people is going to come, then it needs, they need to explain it in plain talk, and that maybe that would come through our local council through Durham. On their website, they could really break it down for us. Nicola very specifically asked the question about salons, hairdressers, etc. Would they shut? Because we'd heard from our clients that in some of the groups of salon owners, it was getting like really quite vicious because there was no specific advice. Shops, gift shops, beauty salons, hairdressers didn't have to shut. But, you know, if you're there giving treatments, how do you stay 2 feet away from someone? And one of our clients who had said that she'd been told, well, don't do a facial, but you can do a leg wax. And she was like, I'd like to see how you would do a leg wax from like 6 foot away. Be like the longest bit of wax and tape ever. But she'd brought that question to us because it was getting quite vicious. It was getting quite nasty. And they needed to know one way or the other. Do you stay open or do you shut? And if you stay open and you're cutting someone's hair, how on earth do you socially distance? It doesn't really matter whether you only have two hairdressers in the salon and they sit further apart, because the hairdresser is right behind the client. And if they cough or they're talking, even just talking, we're giving out the air droplets, aren't we? He wouldn't be pushed on a specific, but he said, look at the sliding scale we are on and look at the way we are copying what's happening in Italy, and basically sort of said, look how we keep saying we are only 2 weeks away from Italy. So I suspect that if we follow the Italian model and if we use our common sense, salons, etc., will be shut and shut soon. And I'm only saying this off my own back, but if what I've heard on the radio is true and the Prime Minister is coming on to do a televised broadcast, so not stood at the podium giving a press conference, if he's going to be in number 10 Downing Street and doing the whole formal thing, just him talking at the camera, I suspect he's going to go into near lockdown, or we're not going to be far off it. So use your common sense. And I am hearing more and more quite simply horrifying, terrifying stories of 30-odd-year-olds, of 40-odd-year-olds with no underlying health conditions, and still we know an 18-year-old girl fighting for her life on a ventilator. Is it worth cutting someone's hair for that? Is it worth making sure that someone's got a neat bikini line before they go into self-isolation? Like, does it matter? I know it matters to your income, don't get me wrong, and that might have come out really not quite right, but Richard said, and I believe, our health is the most important thing, that lives are at risk here. So what you did say off that is, I understand that if we are then saying to business owners, so say a mobile hairdresser, we're telling you to stay at home, we're telling you to not go and do your work. I've just had a chat with my cleaner. I was like so excited because it was like a life goal. I got a cleaner. I could afford a cleaner. It was the best thing in the world. She's amazing. She's called Linda. And I was thinking, I'm going to have to phone her and tell her she can't come. Because if we're self-isolating, even though none of us are at high risk, how can I let her come into my house? Because that puts her at risk. And then and someone said, assume everyone you know is infected. That's just the easiest thing to do. So I assume she's infected. She's bringing it into my house if we're not infected. And anyway, she rang me first because her little boy is now at high risk because of his asthma and the certain type of medication and the new list that's come out. So she's on lockdown with him. What was I saying? So yes, so Richard said, he said, if we are telling you to stay at home and not run your business, and that basically means you lose 80, 90, even 100% of your income, we've got to do something for you. And I saw some clever fucker, excuse my French, say on a Facebook thread, well, maybe if self-employed people worked a bit harder, then they might have a bit money saved up and they wouldn't need this. And if I could have got my fist through the computer and hawked them out and punched them, I would have done, because I know as well as you do that it's not like that for a lot of us. We work hard. We work so hard, but sometimes we can only work part-time because we are also caring for our family, or we're caring for elderly relatives, we're caring for children with additional needs. Sometimes we're working around our own mental health. Sometimes we're working around health conditions, and we're not maybe claiming any other support, but we're working part-time, doing amazing and looking after ourselves. But unfortunately, that doesn't give us any leeway for savings. And you know what? Maybe if we've got a spare 30 quid, we might go to Domino's, we might go to the cinema, we might not put it in a rainy day fund thinking that the whole world would lock down because of a virus. That gave me some reassurance that he'd said, if we are telling you to close your business and you are self-employed, a sole trader, and you have no premises, and we're basically telling you stay home because it's safer, but you're not going to earn any money, we've got to do something to support you. So let's see. Let's look at people who are like me and Kieran, who have an office, okay? If you have an office, a shop, a premises, and you're eligible for small business rates relief. I think there's also a rural rates relief, but I don't know much about that one. But if you're eligible for small business rates relief, which I think means that your property has a rateable value of £12,000 or less, you will get the full £10,000 grant. And grant, it's really important that you understand that is a grant. It is not to be paid back. It is not a loan. They're not, using some other term and trying to disguise a loan. It is a loan. Sorry, oh my goodness, it is a grant. I need a cup of tea. Okay, just ignore me. It's a £10,000 grant. Now, I really strongly suspected that it would be up to £10,000 on a sliding scale. So if the value of your property was, say, £2,000, you'd get a percentage of the 10,000. If your rateable value of your property was 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 pounds a year, you'd get pretty much the £10,000 grant. So if you go and get your rates letter out, it will tell you what your rateable value is. And if it's like way down below £12,000, I would have suspected you wouldn't have got much grant. If it's way up towards £12,000, you would have got much more in the way of a grant. But Richard said, basically, the government's going to give that money to the local councils. The local councils then have to get that out to the businesses, and as soon as possible. And it is quicker if, rather than look at everyone's rateable values and do the calculations and blah, blah, it's just easier and quicker if they give everyone £10,000. It is another hit on the economy. It's another it's a bailout, it's a rescue package, but it's easier and it's quicker and it's going to benefit people. I was like, thank you. That's so I'm not extra confirming it. We need to obviously make double sure when your letters come out from the council, but that is certainly what I heard and what the other people on the call heard as well. You will get your £10,000, which we didn't get into it, but it then makes sense if you are in the next bracket up and your rateable value is £12,000 plus. The next grant is £25,000 and you would get all of that, I think, but don't quote me on that one, because you know what, the guidance is complicated to read and to interpret. So if you are a sole trader, me and Kieran are a partnership. Our business is called KMR, for Kieran Michelle Rose, KMR Training and Consultancy. And Kieran has his blog, The Autistic Advocate, and I have Michelle Rose Marketing, and they sit under that name, that partnership, and we rent an office. So we'll get that money, but we're effectively sole traders. But now, because we've got the office, we'll get the grant, and that will really help us, because our work has just dropped off a cliff. It has absolutely. March was meant to be our best month. It's now going to be nowhere near it. It looks like most of April work's gone. May, June, Kieran was meant to be going on a tour of Australia in the autumn. That's already been pushed back. So this is massively going to help us. So those of you who are self-employed but have a premises, get your rates letter out, have a look, see what you're eligible for. If you get small business rate relief, you will get your £10,000. Now, what I'd said to Richard is, my concern is that the people in the council who are meant to be doing this are off poorly, or they have to self-isolate because they're well but they have underlying conditions and the council physically do not have the staff to cope with it. And he said, shouldn't be a problem. You've got to think that most people who get it will have mild to moderate symptoms. They should be off a week at most and they should be back at work, and most people can home work. Now, I rang my business banking team at Barclays today because this is a great time to decide to move banks, but we're just moving banks, so I've got to change over all my direct debits, and I had a query. And I know it's a small team that look after sort of our area. They're based at Newcastle at one of the call centres. There's 12 of them. And I rang and it just said, this line shut today. There's no one in our team. We're not answering calls. Now, probably that team who are in has been dispersed to do other things and they've shut down, but they've shut down like the online business banking number. There's nobody there. So will the people be in the council to get the grant through to us? This is just me being negative. This is just me being a little bit, I'm not sure about the practicalities, but I hear what Richard's saying. The one thing that I don't understand is this, okay, and I didn't ask it because I didn't want to be like totally pedantic. If you are eligible for small business rates relief, you don't pay rates, so the council don't have your bank account details to pay the grant to you. So there is going to have to be some admin of where they ask you for your bank account details, you get it to them, that's double checked, it's verified, it's put in the system. So there's like an extra bit of admin there as far as I can see.
Where are the boys?
They're upstairs.
Mum's just talking to the universe, don't mind that.
It's just me trying to tell everyone about what Richard said, and Livy's come in to ask where the boys are. But there you go, not to worry. It's fine. Okay, so we will. Time. I know that time is of an issue, and time is. You wonder how you're going to cope and what's going to happen, but it's like we need to cling on with our fingernails, and we need to all cling on together. And are you okay? I'm all right. Are you okay? I'm all right. And we just need to support each other through these next couple of days or weeks until that support starts filtering through, and whatever they announce for self-employed people also starts filtering through. Because obviously I think the stuff for the self-employed people, they've got to announce, and then it's got to launch, and it's got to start filtering through. And that is, as we've seen, realistically, where us self-employed people are at the bottom of the pile, unfortunately. But it sounds like it's going to get to us, but we've got to keep each other clinging on and keep each other calm, and we will get there. So a few things to help you out with that clinging on. If you owe any income tax on your self-assessment, when you're self-employed, phone HMRC. Stephen Paul said from Valued, big accountants, they have a lot of different size clients, but they have so much bigger clients as well, and clients with limited companies who had corporation tax bills due, and they felt that if they didn't have to pay their corporation tax, that would give them cash in the bank. It would give them a financial buffer. Stephen said everyone who's phoned HMRC, they've listened, they've considered, and they've given them a positive to sort of, it's called time to pay, where you delay, defer, rejig your payments, and everyone has had a positive response. So if you have a tax bill due on your self-employed self-assessment, then ring HMRC. Okay, so that's another one to do. But I'm just trying to check. I said, this is all well and good, okay? But I'm coming on live every day. I didn't do the weekend because I was frantically typing and copy and pasting in everybody's quotes from all across Facebook. I didn't come on live at the weekend, but I was there working behind the scenes for free. I'm not doing that to be a martyr, but I have a point with this. Nicola from Mint Business Club was coming on every day. She's done it over the weekend. She's done her lives every day for free. Stephen and Darren from Valued have given as much detailed information as they can translate from all of the advice that's come out. Darren did an AMA and Ask Me Anything in the Valued community group. Again, no money. We're not charging for this. We're doing it because we feel like it's our way of giving and supporting. It's sort of what our skill set is, and it would be wrong not to use it. And I said to Richard, you know, it's all well and good us doing this, but we can't get the money to you. And also, hi, Sarah. Oh, blast from my past. It's so lovely to have you here. And I said, with all the will in the world, I can't give the guys their money. You know, I'm not going to be able to do any more than give them a phone number once, you know, the phone number comes out for whatever self-employed claim line there is. I can't do anything. I cannot, and I wish I could. And I said, also, there's a danger that as I'm trying to translate the guidance, I give out the wrong information and I give somebody false hope. And that the thought of that just cripples me. I really don't want to be responsible for that. So I said, we have our council, we have Durham County Council and their business team. Where are they? We need to see them. They are the guys who have supported businesses for years and years and years. They have the lived experience, they have the wisdom, they've worked with companies of all sizes. Where are they? We need to see them. I felt that like Richard was like a new style of leader. He was there, he was in the trenches, he didn't talk down to us, he talked with us. He was having a conversation with us. And so where are our local councillors, the ones within the cabinet of the council who look after business and local communities? Where are our councillors, the ones who sit on the cabinet? And where are our officers? So they're the actual people who have the roles, the paid for jobs within the council. And as I said, I didn't say this, but I'm saying this to you. I'm sitting here doing this for free with no halo on. I'm not trying to be a martyr. My business has nosedived. Okay, right now I'm looking at, I don't know, a couple of £100 coming in, maybe for April. But the people in the council, even if they have to work from home, if the council shuts, they're going to get 80% of their wage. So where are they? We need to see them. And Richard said he would push for that. And I said, even if they came on and they did a live with Darren or Stephen in the valued group, and they said, we can't answer all of your questions, but if we have 10 questions from across Durham, from different size businesses, hopefully if we can do our best to answer those questions, then there might be another 100 or 1,000 businesses in a similar situation, and that will help to answer some of their queries or alleviate some of their concerns. And he said he will push for that, because I really feel that that's what we need right now. We don't need emails saying, hey, we can push through a grant for you extra quick, a £3,000 grant. Or not, you pay us this much, we'll give you this much, but the minimum spend is whatever. We don't have any money to do that. It's insensitive. It really, really is. What we need is your advice. What we need is your support. We don't just need you pushing us back to the government website all of the time. We need your take on it, because you are the guys that know the retail businesses on CMC front. You are the guys that know all of the outdoor activity and the holiday caravan parks in Weardale. You know them. The businesses in Durham City Centre, the traders in the indoor market in Durham, you know them. All of the service-based businesses in Concert Business Park, where me and Kieran are based, you know them. You've been supporting them and advising them and offering them grants and all different things for years now. So we need your take on this. You might get it wrong. You might arse it up. We're not going to hold it against you. What we will hold against you is you not being here now. And I really don't get angry or political, but this has been bugging me. So yes, Richard said, I have it in my notes here. I said, Richard will press the council to be more present, to help answer questions, to be more public facing, and not just leave it to us, i.e. me, Nicola Valued, obviously as good as we are, to be the ones to reassure and advise. Okay. I think I've covered it. Half an hour. I think this has been my longest Corona cuppa. I didn't have a cup of tea. I'll show you this. This might make you laugh. Maybe when I can't just do this anymore, I'll just have this Livy's present to me for Mother's Day. Isn't it gorgeous? It's like a dead ringer for me. Look at my long neck. I used to have a big long neck like that. It's okay. What I'm going to do is I am going to copy and paste my notes, and I will put them in with this post so that you have got those to refer to. I will create the letter as a PDF that went to Richard, so you can download it and you can see the comments. And I think what I will do soon, not quite yet, is we'll wait till we get the announcement for self-employed people. Then maybe me and Nick and the guys from Valued can go through all 70 questions, and we can go, yeah, that one's answered because of this announcement, that one's answered because of that. We can do a roundup of all the advice, and any that stand out as not being answered, as really still being troublesome, then we can push Richard, or we can go to the council and we can say, what about this person? How do we help this person? What needs to be done? So we'll just keep working and just keep helping you as much as we can. That's it. So watch out for the text to go into this. As always, these Corona Live videos are being posted onto my blog, and on the blog there is a sort of a things I talked about. So if it's easier, head over to the blog, but you need to give me a couple of hours because I have to download this video, then I have to upload it to YouTube, then I have to create a blog, then I have to it takes a bit of a while, and obviously still got the kids and stuff. Any questions, ask them. Thank you for the little thumbs up. It always just makes you feel really, really loved and valued. Thank you for sharing these. Thank you for commenting on them. Thank you for just being you. You guys are supporting me as much as I'm trying to support you. And the questions that came through were heartbreaking. And I want all of us to survive. Survive might mean we don't work, but we get some sort of income, but we work on our skills and we improve our website and we look at what we actually really love to do. And once all this is over, how do we really do that? There's Albie, how do we pivot? How do we tweak? How do we actually follow the business of our dreams? I was talking to someone today who I was mentoring, who had a really good, solid business, working around health conditions, and has basically thought, sod it, I don't want to do that anymore. This is what I want to do. I've got a new idea and I'm launching it now in the middle of this, because actually I've realized there's more people like me who I can help if I follow what's in my heart. I've got tingles actually just thinking about it. Another person I was talking to today is going to be doing like live gigs every night online with a guitar. Hannah from the Singing Hinny, let's give you a shout out, and asking people to donate a cup of coffee to her. And she says, you're not in the pub, so you haven't bought a ticket for the gig. You're not in the pub, you're not buying pints, you're not buying food, you're at home, you're not spending as much. So can you buy me a coffee? And you click a little button and you effectively donate the price of a coffee, and you support Hannah. What I'm seeing people do right now is amazing. And if I can help you with all of that, then that is brilliant. Okay, I'm getting a bit hyper. I can smell the kids' pizza. I'm going to go. It was 67 pizza from Tesco's, by the way. We were allowed to buy 2 of them. So they're having half with a jack of potato. I'm waffling. I'm going to stop. I love you all loads. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon. And yeah, well, actually, I'll speak to you tomorrow with Corona Cuppa number 7. Night. God bless everyone. Bye.